Ladies and gentlemen, we gather today under a title that at first glance seems contradictory: War for Love. Yet, as we unravel its meaning, we see that it speaks to the deepest truths of the human experience. Love, in its purest form, is peace, a balm for the aching soul. But to find it, we often wage wars against fear, against rejection, and sometimes even against ourselves. These battles, though tumultuous, reveal the paradox of the heart of love. For in love there is both surrender and victory, both struggle and ease. The first battlefield is within. How often do we silence our longing for love with walls of doubt or cynicism? We wear armor to guard our hearts, but that same armor keeps us from feeling the very thing we crave. To love is to break through these barriers and allow vulnerability to shine, even when it terrifies us. But love is not possession. Too often we confuse the two, thinking that to love someone is to hold them tightly, to make them ours. In truth, love is about liberation. It's about freeing ourselves from the need to control and instead embracing the unpredictable beauty of another soul. Yet love asks much of us. It demands sacrifice not of our dignity or self-worth, but of our ego, our pride, and the illusions we cling to. Love transforms us, reshaping the boundaries of who we are. It is not merely an emotion, it is a creative force that builds and rebuilds endlessly. But why do we fear it? Why do we hesitate at the edge of love's vast ocean? Perhaps because we know it is fleeting. The fear of loss, of impermanence, whispers to us, urging us to step back. But here lies another paradox: the only way to truly keep love is to let it go, to hold it lightly, knowing that its beauty lies in its transience. In this war for love, victory comes not from winning, but from losing. To lose ourselves in love is to find the most profound freedom, a freedom that connects us to something greater than ourselves. And so I invite you all to lay down your shields, to step boldly into the battlefields of your own hearts, and to fight not with fists, but with openness, patience, and courage. For though the war for love is the hardest we will ever fight, it is also the most worthwhile. Love, at its core, is one of the most profound paradoxes of existence. It is both a source of joy and a cause of anguish, a force that can unite and divide, heal and hurt. It defies simple explanation, because it is not bound by logic or reason. Love is instead a realm of contradictions that somehow coexist harmoniously, challenging our understanding of what it means to be human. To love is to seek peace, yet it often begins with struggle. In the pursuit of love, we wage battles against our insecurities, against the fear of rejection, and sometimes against the very people we love. This tension is not a flaw of love, but a testament to its transformative power. Love does not allow us to remain static. It compels us to confront the parts of ourselves we would rather ignore. It is in this struggle that love finds its meaning, pushing us to grow, to learn, and to become more than we were. Love also requires surrender, yet it feels like the greatest triumph. To truly love someone is to give up control, to let go of the desire to shape or mold them to our will. This surrender is not a defeat, but a profound victory, as it allows us to see and accept another person for who they truly are. In letting go of our need to dominate or possess, we discover a deeper connection that is built on trust and authenticity. And then there is the paradox of vulnerability. Love demands that we open ourselves up completely, exposing our most fragile and tender parts to another. This openness can feel like a great risk, leaving us susceptible to pain and heartbreak. Yet it is precisely in this vulnerability that love finds its strength. By allowing ourselves to be seen in our entirety, the good, the bad, and the imperfect, we forge bonds that are unbreakable. Love thrives not despite our flaws, but because of them. Another contradiction lies in the nature of love's permanence. We long for love to last forever, to be a constant in a world that is ever changing. Yet love, like all things, is impermanent. It ebbs and flows, changes shape, and sometimes fades away. This impermanence does not diminish its value, rather, it makes every moment of love more precious. To love is to embrace the fleeting nature of life itself, finding beauty in the fact that nothing lasts forever. Ultimately, love is the coexistence of opposites. It is both selfless and selfish, a giving of oneself and a desire for connection. It is deeply personal yet universal, an experience that is unique to each individual but shared by all humanity. Love is a paradox because it mirrors life itself, complex, unpredictable, and filled with contradictions that, when embraced, create something profoundly beautiful. To love is to accept these contradictions, to live in the tension they create, and to find peace within the paradox. The war for love often begins not in the outer world, but deep within ourselves, in a place that can feel both intimate and tumultuous, the inner battlefield. It is here, in the depths of our hearts and minds, that we wrestle with the conflicting forces that shape our ability to love and be loved. This internal struggle is as ancient as humanity itself, a reflection of the tension between our longing for connection and our fear of vulnerability. At the heart of this battlefield is fear. To open oneself to love is to risk pain of rejection, betrayal, or loss. These fears are not unfounded, they are born of past experiences, wounds that remain tender and memories that haunt us. Yet fear also shields us, convincing us that by avoiding risk we can avoid hurt. This protective instinct, though well-meaning, often becomes our greatest barrier. The walls we build to keep out pain inevitably keep out love as well. Opposing this fear is the yearning for connection. As humans, we are wired for relationships, for moments of intimacy that make us feel seen, valued, and understood. This yearning is powerful, pulling us toward others despite the risks. But this pull is not always straightforward. It can lead to self-doubt, as we question whether we are worthy of the love we seek. The tension between wanting love and fearing it creates a storm within us, a battle between hope and hesitation. This internal conflict is further complicated by the stories we tell ourselves. We carry narratives about love, what it should look like, how it should feel, and who we should be to deserve it. These narratives, often shaped by culture, upbringing, and personal history, can be limiting. They create expectations that are impossible to meet and standards that may not reflect our true needs. On the inner battlefield, we fight not only our fears, but also these illusions, striving to distinguish between what we think we should want and what our hearts genuinely desire. Another layer of the struggle is the battle with vulnerability. To love is to expose oneself, to reveal the parts of ourselves that we often keep hidden. This openness is terrifying because it means relinquishing control and accepting uncertainty. Will we be accepted for who we truly are? Or will our vulnerability be met with rejection? The temptation to protect ourselves by staying guarded is strong, yet it is only through vulnerability that true connection is possible. The inner battlefield is not a place of defeat, but of profound transformation. Each skirmish, every moment of doubt, fear, or hesitation teaches us something about ourselves. It challenges us to confront our insecurities, to let go of the illusions that no longer serve us, and to embrace the courage it takes to love fully. In fighting these internal battles, we discover that the greatest victory is not in overcoming another, but in overcoming the barriers within ourselves. Through this struggle, we become not just capable of loving, but worthy of the love we seek. Love, in its most authentic form, transcends the idea of possession. It is a force that does not seek to own or control, but instead liberates both the giver and the receiver. Yet this understanding often stands in stark contrast to how many of us approach love. We live in a world where attachment is often confused with love, and possession is mistakenly seen as proof of affection. To move beyond this misunderstanding, we must first examine what it means to truly love without holding on too tightly. Possessiveness stems from fear of losing someone, of being replaced, or of being left incomplete without the other. This fear can drive us to cling, to attempt to make the person we love ours in every possible way. But possession is rooted in the illusion that love is finite, something that can be secured through control or ownership. In reality, love is expansive and infinite. It cannot be contained within the confines of possession. Trying to hold on too tightly often suffocates the very thing we are trying to preserve. True love, by contrast, is about freedom. It recognizes the individuality and autonomy of the other person. To love someone is to see them as they are, not as an extension of ourselves or as something to be shaped to fit our needs. It is to honor their journey, their choices, and their growth, even when these things challenge us. This kind of love is not conditional on reciprocity or conformity. It thrives in an environment of trust, where both people feel free to be their authentic selves. When we love beyond possession, we let go of the need to control the outcome of the relationship. This does not mean that we stop caring or become detached. Instead, it means we find joy in the act of loving itself without attaching our happiness solely to how that love is returned. This kind of love is deeply empowering because it is not driven by fear of loss, but by the desire to give freely. It acknowledges that the value of love lies not in its permanence, but in its sincerity. Letting go of possessiveness also allows us to experience a deeper connection. When love is no longer tied to control, it becomes a space where vulnerability, honesty, and growth can flourish. Both individuals are free to explore the depths of their emotions without the fear of being judged or constrained. This mutual freedom creates a relationship that is dynamic, resilient, and enriching. Ultimately, love beyond possession teaches us that people are not ours to own. They are not prizes to be won or treasures to be hoarded. They are partners, companions, and fellow travelers in this shared journey of life. To love in this way is to embrace the beauty of impermanence, to celebrate the moments we share, and to trust that the bond we create is meaningful, even if it does not last forever. In letting go of the need to possess, we open ourselves to the true essence of love, a gift that grows stronger when freely given. The illusion of control is one of the most pervasive forces shaping how we navigate relationships, particularly in matters of love. It is a compelling but ultimately false belief that we can dictate the outcomes of our emotional connections, ensuring safety, permanence, and reciprocity through effort or manipulation. This illusion is seductive because it offers the promise of certainty in an inherently uncertain domain. Yet the very nature of love defies control, flourishing only when we relinquish the need to dominate or predict its course. At its root, the desire for control in love stems from fear. To love is to be vulnerable, and vulnerability often feels synonymous with risk. What if our love isn't returned? What if we lose the person we cherish? What if we're hurt? In an attempt to guard against these possibilities, we seek to establish control over our partner's feelings, actions, or even the trajectory of the relationship. We believe that if we say the right things, act in the right ways, or anticipate every potential problem, we can create a love that is invulnerable to pain or loss. But love is not a transaction or a formula to be perfected. It is a dynamic, organic force that thrives on freedom and authenticity. Attempts to control love often backfire, stifling the spontaneity and openness that are its lifeblood. When we try to control someone's emotions or actions, we risk reducing love to a performance, where the other person feels obligated to meet our expectations rather than free to express their true self. Over time, this undermines the trust and mutual respect that make love genuine and enduring. The illusion of control is not limited to how we interact with others, it extends to our expectations of ourselves. We often hold ourselves to impossible standards, believing that if we are perfect, if we never make mistakes, never falter, never show weakness, we can secure the love we desire. This self-imposed pressure creates a facade, distancing us from both our authentic selves and the people we long to connect with. Love cannot thrive in the shadow of perfectionism because it requires honesty, including the willingness to admit our flaws and uncertainties. Ironically, the attempt to control love often leads to the very outcomes we fear most: distance, disconnection, and heartbreak. When we cling too tightly, we suffocate the natural ebb and flow of relationships, turning something beautiful into a source of tension and conflict. Letting go of control does not mean abandoning responsibility or commitment. Rather, it means embracing the inherent unpredictability of love. It is about trusting in the bond you've built, even when the future feels uncertain. When we release the illusion of control, we discover that love's true power lies in its unpredictability. Its beauty is in its freedom, its capacity to surprise and transform us in ways we cannot foresee. By letting go, we allow love to unfold naturally, rooted in mutual respect, trust, and a shared willingness to embrace the unknown. In surrendering the illusion of control, we find not weakness but strength, a strength born of trust, courage, and the profound freedom to love without fear. Love, for all its beauty and wonder, comes with a cost. It is not free, nor is it without challenges. To love deeply is to make sacrifices, to face vulnerabilities, and to open ourselves to both joy and pain. The cost of love is often unseen at first, hidden beneath its initial euphoria, but as love deepens, it demands more from us. This cost is not a burden to be feared, but a testament to love's profound transformative power. The most immediate cost of love is vulnerability. To truly love someone, we must let down our defenses, revealing parts of ourselves that we may otherwise keep hidden. This openness is both freeing and terrifying. It requires us to trust another person with our insecurities, fears, and flaws, risking the possibility of rejection or betrayal. Yet it is through this vulnerability that love finds its authenticity. Without it, the connection remains superficial, a mere shadow of what love can be. Another cost of love is the sacrifice of ego. Love challenges us to set aside selfish desires and consider the needs and feelings of another. This does not mean losing ourselves or becoming subservient, but it does require a shift in perspective. Love teaches us to compromise, to share, and to prioritize the well-being of someone else alongside our own. This balancing act is not always easy, as it can confront our instincts for independence or control. But in learning to give selflessly, we discover a deeper, more fulfilling version of ourselves. Love also demands time and energy, precious resources in a world filled with competing priorities. Building and maintaining a loving relationship requires effort, patience, and presence. It asks us to show up consistently, even when it's inconvenient or difficult. This investment can feel taxing, especially during times of conflict or hardship, but it is through these efforts that love grows stronger and more resilient. Perhaps the most profound cost of love is the inevitability of loss. To love is to attach ourselves to another person, to intertwine our lives in ways that make separation painful. Whether through distance, change, or the finality of death, all love carries the risk of ending. This impermanence is what makes love so precious yet so bittersweet. The awareness of loss does not diminish love's value, rather, it heightens it, reminding us to cherish each moment we have with those we hold dear. The cost of love is not paid all at once, nor is it a debt that can be avoided. It is a gradual process of giving, growing, and letting go. While the price may seem steep, it is outweighed by the rewards, the joy of connection, the comfort of companionship, and the opportunity to experience life more deeply and fully. Love's cost is a reflection of its worth, a reminder that the greatest treasures in life are rarely acquired without effort or sacrifice. To love is to embrace this cost willingly, knowing that what we gain in return is immeasurable. Love is one of the most profound creative forces in existence, shaping not only relationships but also the very fabric of our lives. It transcends being a mere emotion or fleeting feeling and becomes a generative power that transforms individuals, connections, and even the world around us. At its core, love inspires growth, fosters innovation, and awakens the potential for beauty and meaning in every aspect of life. When love enters our lives, it acts as a catalyst for personal transformation. It pushes us to become better versions of ourselves, not through obligation, but through the deep desire to honor the love we feel. Love encourages us to face our fears, to soften the hardened parts of our hearts, and to cultivate qualities like patience, compassion, and generosity. In this way, love creates a new self, one that is more attuned to the needs of others and more capable of experiencing joy. In relationships, love is the force that builds and sustains connection. It invites two people to come together not just as individuals but as co-creators of something greater than themselves. Love fosters collaboration, communication, and compromise, creating a space where both partners can thrive. It turns ordinary moments into extraordinary memories, weaving the threads of shared experiences into a tapestry of meaning. Even during challenges, love has the power to repair and rebuild, reminding us that relationships are not static but living, evolving entities shaped by our efforts and care. Love's creative power extends beyond personal relationships and into the broader world. It inspires acts of kindness, art, and innovation. Throughout history, love has been the muse for countless works of literature, music, and visual art. These creations often arise not from perfection, but from the complexity and depth of human connection, capturing the beauty and pain that love encompasses. In this way, love becomes a force that not only shapes individuals but also leaves a lasting impact on culture and society. Love also creates a sense of purpose and belonging. It connects us to something larger than ourselves, reminding us of our shared humanity. When we act out of love, whether for a partner, a family member, a friend, or even a cause, we transcend selfish desires and contribute to the collective good. Love motivates us to care for others, to build communities, and to work toward a world that reflects the values of empathy and understanding. Even in its absence, love continues to create. The longing for love often drives us to search for meaning, to reflect on what truly matters, and to make changes that align us with our deeper desires. The pain of lost love, while difficult, often leads to profound growth and resilience, teaching us lessons that shape who we are and how we choose to love in the future. Ultimately, love as a creative force is limitless. It has the power to transform the mundane into the extraordinary, to heal wounds, and to bring new possibilities into being. To love is to participate in this act of creation, contributing to the ongoing story of connection, growth, and renewal that defines the human experience. In love, the idea of winning by losing may seem counterintuitive, but it holds profound wisdom. Love, by its very nature, is not a competition to be won or a prize to be claimed. It is a surrender, an act of giving up control and ego to embrace something greater than oneself. Paradoxically, it is in this act of letting go that we truly find fulfillment, connection, and a deeper sense of self. The need to win in love often stems from our desire for validation or security. We want to be chosen, to be cherished, and to feel that we matter. These desires, though natural, can sometimes lead to behaviors rooted in fear or self-interest. We might cling too tightly, strive to prove our worth, or attempt to control the dynamics of a relationship to ensure that we win the love we seek. However, love does not thrive under such conditions. When we focus on winning, we risk losing sight of what makes love meaningful: authenticity, vulnerability, and mutual respect. To truly love is to let go of the need to control outcomes. This requires a willingness to lose our fears, our pride, and even our preconceived notions of how love should look. Letting go of these attachments can feel like a loss, but it is a necessary one. In doing so, we make space for love to unfold naturally, without the weight of expectations or demands. This surrender is not a sign of weakness, but of strength. It shows a deep trust in the process of love and in the bond between two people. When we lose ourselves in love, not in the sense of abandoning who we are, but in opening ourselves fully to another, we gain something immeasurable. This selflessness allows us to connect on a level that transcends individual desires. It shifts the focus from what can I get from this to what can I give in this giving. We discover a joy that is not tied to outcomes or reciprocation. It is a joy that comes from the act of loving itself, a fulfillment that no external validation can match. Even in the pain of loss, love offers its gifts. To love someone deeply, knowing that it might end, is to embrace the fleeting nature of life itself. Loss teaches us to value the present, to hold each moment as precious, and to appreciate the beauty of what we have while we have it. In letting go, we often find a new sense of strength and resilience, along with a deeper understanding of ourselves and what love means to us. Winning by losing ultimately means recognizing that love is not about possession or achievement. It is about surrendering to something greater, allowing ourselves to be changed by it, and finding freedom in that transformation. In giving up the illusions of control and ego, we gain the true essence of love, a boundless connection that enriches our lives and reminds us of what it means to be human.